Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Marina. I am a certified lash tech based in Toronto, Canada, and I like making lashing videos. And today we are going to be focusing on the topic of lash gaps and how to kind of fill them in and what methods I use. Before I get into any of my videos though, I always do put out that disclaimer that everything I'm sharing with you guys is completely subjective to how I like to do lash extensions, and that I always encourage people to go out there and continue learning from different creators and reading articles, because what might work for me may not work for you. So that's just something to keep in mind when watching any of my videos. However, today we are going to be getting into this hybrid set. And I kind of wanted to discuss what I do when there are gaps on the lash line, because maybe there was damage to their natural lash, or they ripped out, or simply the small ones are just growing back. So for this specific client, the middle of her eyes, the lashes were very spread apart, and there was actually no lashes for me to even fill in. They were very, very sparse and very delicate looking, so I had to be kind of careful about how I was going to go about filling in these gaps. So because it's a hybrid set, a lot of the times with hybrid set, I do some fans, and then I do some classic lashes, in this case 0.15 and 0.05 fans, and I try to do 50% of each. If the person has a lot of eyelashes, I actually kind of cut down on the number of fans and add more classic lashes, because hybrids are supposed to be a little bit on the lighter side anyway. So you want to make sure that you're not making it too full by putting a fan and then a classic and then a fan, like 50-50. It'll look more like a volume set. So for this client, because she had gaps on the inner corners of her eye, I had to make sure that I'm closing these gaps with wide fans. So I actually used 0.05 wide fans, and they were able to close those gaps pretty nicely without making it look gappy or weird in any way. And so basically what I did was I just avoided using those classic lashes, and I only went in with fans where there were gaps. And although hybrids are supposed to be like I guess like half and half, or like not half and half, but like, you know what I mean, I have to kind of sporadically place the classic lashes and the fans, because that's what a hybrid look entails. But if there is a gap, then I'm just gonna go ahead and fill them with fans and ignore the classic lashes, because this will allow me to close in those gaps. Now, if you have a gap that's fairly large and you really want to close that up, you could even go as far as to using 0.03 fans, because you could make very wide fans with that type of diameter. Because the hairs are so fine as well, it'll still be able to protect those natural lashes, but also giving that full coverage that the client is going to be paying for. Now, a lot of the time with volume lashes, because you're going to be having probably a very full fluffy set, but if there's a few gaps, it'll be noticeable. I recommend using 0.03 for volume spaces, but this is a hybrid space, so I can use just fans or 0.03, but I use 0.05 and it turned out perfectly fine. So that's just like my little advice to you guys on how I would go about it. Now, there will be some times where you will see clients come in with a very large bald spot in the eye. Now, that can lead to a multitude of decisions. You can either tell the client that you can do their lashes, however there will be a gap, but you'll try your hardest to fill in that gap. Second would be to ask them to just come back another time, because you don't want to ruin their natural lash. As hard as it is to sometimes turn people away, I think that protecting the natural lash is extremely important when you're becoming a lash tech or providing lash extension services, because at the end of the day, you don't want to make all their lashes fall out. That will be like the absolute worst, and then their sets won't look as full as they used to because of the amount of damage caused to the natural lash. So those are a few things that I would just try to keep in mind and keep conscious of. Now, something else that you can also do, and that I would advise, is to kind of communicate with your client as to how big the gap is. So if it's really hard to close that gap and there's just no hairs in the middle, make sure you let your client know that there is a gap and that, you know, it could have been caused by falsies or just a bad lash experience prior, but that if she leaves it alone, hopefully it will grow back. I know that they have certain growth serums, but those serums and oils will help make their lash extensions fall out. So again, you can give them the option of just waiting, making sure their lashes grow back, and then have them come back so that their set will look full. Or you can try your best with the methods that I said before to close their gaps. I did the method that I was explaining before on this client, and when I was finished, I just let her know what I did. And she absolutely loved the set. She was very satisfied at the very end, so I knew that I did a pretty good job with closing those gaps. But yeah, that's something that you gotta keep in mind, because even though hybrids are alternating classic and fans, you want to be able to make it look as uniform as possible throughout the entire eye, unless someone is asking for a textured set, which is a whole different ballpark in itself. So this is something that I try to really focus on and make sure that I'm using my mirror to look at the lash line from underneath. This will really give you a really good idea with how thick the lashes are and how wide the fans can be. So what I try to do is I avoid making the outer corners too wide, because there's so many lashes already there, and I don't want it to overpower the center of the, or sorry, not the center, but the inner corners of the eyes, because there's not as many lashes. However, honestly, it's gonna happen anyway, because that's just naturally how the lashes are gonna look. So even at the end result, you will see that you can see quite a little bit of a difference from the inner corners to the outer corner, but it's actually completely normal, and my client left happy, and that's all that matters to me. So those are things to keep in mind when working with gaps. But at the end of the day, the ultimate thing that you want to focus on is to not damage their natural lash and keep that healthy lash strong and long. And hopefully, if it's not there yet, you guys can give it time to grow back, because it's not good at all to lash premature eyelashes. You're just gonna end up ruining your client's lashes, and then she's gonna be pretty upset. So keep that in mind, and do your due diligence and kind of analyze how you can fix the problem without damaging anything. So that concludes today's video. It was a short and sweet video, but it is something that I struggled with for a bit until I found out what method worked for me. This method I actually just did on my own. I know that some people do gap fillings very differently. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people just do it the way I do it. However, I didn't learn this from anywhere. I just kind of taught myself that this works. So hopefully it'll work for you guys. And yeah, make sure that the fans are wide and you'll be able to close in those gaps. Stay tuned at the very end for the results. I post every Sunday around 6:15. If you guys could leave a comment, it will mean the world to me, as it does help improve my engagement. Leave a like button if you found this helpful, and if you're new here, it'd mean the world to me if you would subscribe. Alright guys, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in.